Margaret Chun had built her life on trust. At 72, with silver hair framing her warm brown face and kind eyes that crinkled at the corners, she believed in the goodness of family above all else. She and her husband Robert had raised their son Daniel with love and care, teaching him integrity and compassion. When Daniel married Stephanie 5 years ago, Margaret welcomed her daughter-in-law with open arms. She gave Stephanie the password to her credit card account, a gesture of complete trust. For emergencies, dear, Margaret had said, squeezing Stephanie's hand. We're family now. Stephanie was beautiful, ambitious, and always immaculately dressed. She worked in marketing and had a taste for expensive things. Margaret noticed but said nothing. Love meant accepting people as they were. For years, everything seemed fine. Margaret used her card for modest purchases, groceries, the occasional gift for her grandchildren. She didn't check her statements carefully. Why would she? She trusted her family. Then came that Tuesday afternoon in late autumn. Margaret was baking cookies, her kitchen filled with the scent of vanilla and cinnamon, when her card was declined at the grocery store. She stood there, confused, as the cashier ran it again. Declined .80 home. Margaret logged into her account with trembling fingers. Her heart sank. Thousands of dollars in charges, designer handbags, expensive dinners, luxury spa treatments. None of them hers. She sat at her kitchen table, the afternoon light casting long shadows across the worn wood. Her hands shook as she scrolled through months of statements. Stephanie had been using her card regularly, treating it like her own personal account. Margaret's first instinct was to call Daniel, but something stopped her. She needed to think clearly. That night, she barely slept, her mind churning with hurt and betrayal. The next morning, Margaret changed the password. Then she waited. Stephanie's call came within hours, her voice sharp with irritation. Darling, your mother changed the password. I can't use her card for my shopping anymore. She complained to Daniel, not realizing Margaret could hear every word on speakerphone. 20 minutes later, Daniel burst through Margaret's front door, his face flushed with anger. "Mom, how could you embarrass Stephanie like this? She needed that card." Margaret looked at her son calmly, though her heart was breaking. "Sit down, Daniel. I don't want to sit. You gave her that access, and now you've humiliated her by taking it away without warning." Margaret pulled out printed statements, her hands steady now. "Look at these." "Really, look?" Daniel's anger faltered as he scanned the pages. $5,000 at luxury boutiques, $3,000 at high-end restaurants, $2,000 at exclusive salons. His face paled. "I gave Stephanie that password for emergencies," Margaret said quietly. "A car repair, a medical bill, not for designer shoes and champagne lunches while I ate soup to save money. She must have thought it was okay. Did you know about this, Daniel?" His silence was answer enough. Margaret felt something shift inside her. Not just the betrayal from Stephanie, but watching her son defend such behavior, refusing to see the truth even when it was laid before him. "I need you to leave now," she said softly. "I need time to think." "Mom, please leave." Daniel. The weeks that followed were quiet. Margaret didn't answer their calls immediately. She took long walks in the crisp autumn air, thinking about trust and boundaries, and the difference between kindness and being taken advantage of. She also made some decisions. Margaret had always been careful with money, and she still had resources her family didn't know about. She contacted her lawyer and revised her will, setting up trusts for her grandchildren that Stephanie couldn't touch. She closed the compromised credit card and opened new accounts with different security measures. Then she did something unexpected. She volunteered at a local women's shelter, helping women who'd been taken advantage of by people they trusted. She found purpose in teaching financial literacy, in empowering others to protect themselves. One evening, 2 months later, Daniel appeared at her door alone. His eyes were red-rimmed, his shoulders slumped. "Can I come in?" Margaret stepped aside. They sat in her living room, the space between them heavy with unspoken words. Finally, Daniel spoke. "I found other credit cards. She's been hiding debt, lots of it. Cards in my name I didn't know about." His voice cracked. "I confronted her. She said I didn't make enough money, that she deserved nice things, that you were selfish for not sharing more." Margaret reached out, taking her son's hand. Despite everything, he was still her child. "I'm sorry, Mom. I'm so sorry I didn't believe you. I was blind. I wanted so badly for everything to be perfect that I couldn't see what was really happening. What will you do?" I asked her to leave, to get help. "We're separating," Tears rolled down his cheeks. I thought love meant accepting everything, never questioning. But you taught me love also means honesty, respect. I forgot that. Margaret squeezed his hand. Forgiveness doesn't mean forgetting, Daniel. And boundaries aren't walls, they're bridges to healthy relationships. In the months that followed, Daniel started therapy. He began rebuilding his life, more carefully this time. Stephanie moved out completely, and they eventually divorced. Margaret watched her son slowly find himself again, learning to trust his instincts, to value himself enough to expect mutual respect. One spring afternoon, as they gardened together, in Margaret's backyard, Daniel paused and looked at his mother. That password you changed, it changed everything. If you hadn't been strong enough to set that boundary, I might never have woken up. Margaret smiled, her hands deep in warm soil, planting new seeds. Sometimes the kindest thing we can do is say no. Sometimes love means letting people face the consequences of their choices. And sometimes, Daniel added, the greatest gift a parent can give is showing their child what self-respect looks like. They worked in comfortable silence as afternoon sun filtered through the trees. Trust, once broken, could be rebuilt, but it required truth, time, and tremendous courage. Margaret had learned that revenge didn't mean retaliation. Her revenge was living well, protecting herself, and teaching others to do the same. It was watching her son emerge stronger from his pain. It was knowing that by changing one simple password, she'd unlocked a more authentic future for them all. That evening, as Margaret watered her new plants, she thought about the password she'd chosen for her new accounts. It was simple but meaningful. Boundaries are alive because they were. And sometimes the most loving thing we can do is teach others where our lines are drawn. The surprises Stephanie and Daniel hadn't known about weren't just about money or wills. They were about Margaret's quiet strength, her unwillingness to be diminished, and her deep understanding that true family isn't about blind loyalty, but mutual respect and genuine care. And that was the greatest lesson of all.